you think I could call you back? I have to start my call. I have to go do a stream right now. Alright. Love you too. Bye. Hey, babe. I'm about to start up the stream. Sorry, my dad called me.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it right there. Keep it going. It's gonna be a one take. Yeah, here we go again. Lights was off at mama house so she couldn't see my vision. Go extra boy, I broke the law and flew pounds in my city. I'm in the lab truck, get my dick sucked. Light skin, dark skin, I won't go from.
Let me know some. 2 hoes slid on me, but I want 3, I need a fosa. I already got a hoe, I don't want no hoe talking about she wholesome. I don't need no more clout, hoe, watch your mouth, always try to post some.
Yeah, that's it right there. Keep it going. It's gonna be a one take. Yeah, here we go again. Lights was off at mama house so she couldn't see my vision. Go extra boy, I broke the law and flew pounds in my city. I'm in the lab truck, get my dick sucked. Light skin, dark skin, I won't go from.
Let me know some. 2 hoes slid on me, but I want 3, I need a fosa. I already got a hoe, I don't want no hoe talking about she wholesome. I don't need no more clout, hoe, watch your mouth, always try to post some. Keep my Glock on me, I hop out front seat, try and smoke some. Keep the questions, I don't know none. Glizzy don't need a beam, but like a green dot, bitch, you know it's coming. As soon as we leave his team, we just gonna flee the scene. My shooter score with ease, we don't even need a screen.
Yeah, my shooter score with ease. Soon as he see me squeeze. Run around town in a matte black truck with 5% tent with skis on. I be trying to getting up pants, getting that end zone. I be trying to trap all day like a trap star. On my grind, but I don't skate. Ask me shit, I plead the fifth. Get a big check on the first. Yeah, I love, but I don't need her. I was down bad, but I turned up quick. Got that win again. Losses turn to lessons, I'm the truth. They can't do this shit, and I'm scheming hard. Niggas know I'm a problem. I be in the project, bro, sir, I see carry. He be playing with that white shit like he's serving Coca-Cola. I be keeping my pistol like I'm poster.
I be quick to get on a nigga ass like he owes some. Broski riding Jag, do the dash like he stole some. We don't even pull up Jags, ride new ones like the O's. Fucking up that sack, buying platinum like it's gold. I be quick to
She don't listen to UK rap. If it ain't Dave or Cinch, she a 6 but her friend is a 4. A freeway gonna make that 10. Are you sure you wanna make that wife? We know her since way back when. If it's a Rose, then it gotta be a Cullen and G6 free if Mercedes. Wide selection of gala we got right now. Go broke and watch them all leave us. I can't give her home my jumper. She'll go home and put it on deeper. I'm in the car with my girl and my guy call me. I'm like, bro, you're on speaker. Toxic relationship with my bitch. One day we're split, now we're going Antigua. 3 man jump out the 4-door vehicle. It's a miracle if a boy don't get touched. Don't step on our block and trespass. Gotta check in and apply for a Esther. Young G came to the Dragons Den. He won a 9 bar and he needed investor. Uber Lux with a foot inside. She ain't coming to fuck, there's a key in the S-Class. Alright, I come a long way from a Vespa. When I put foot on the gas, wanna hear it rip, nah, I don't want a Tesla. Come a long way from giving out testers, crackhead itching like he got eczema. Remember, I tried to do fraud on my metro. I got blacklisted like Skepta. Peculiar mixture, in a Pirates like Nesquik. Been living a movie since Blockbusters, way before Netflix. I just made a play for a MS 11 AM, I ain't even had breakfast. She only listened to rap caviar, she in her car playing hella Americans.
She don't listen to UK rap. If it ain't Dave or Cinch, she a 6 but a friend is a 4. A freeway gonna make that 10. Are you sure you wanna make that wife? We know her from way back when. If it's a Rose, then it's gotta be a Cullen and G6 free if Mercedes Benz. Missing person. Parents think he's a runaway. The man them think I'm tapped to with the same car in a different colorway. Can't turn no hoe to a housewife more time, just do it the other way. If I ask her to send me a foot picture, she'll think I'm a weirdo. Back then man do a robbery, tell a civilian don't be a hero. She got curved like Andrea Pirlo. I know a chick that will get into character, line man up while she nibble his earlobe. Nokia 9010, this phone come like the splits on distro. Me and bro like Skep and Frisco, disco free man hop out the rental. No need for the drum and bass, cool bay if you wanna see rude or mental. I feel like I'm Tony Soprano, gold tips in a black beater, it's a man eater like Nelly for, feel like I'm Nelly Furtado. Pay him 100 grand in the Sunderland like I'm at Diallo. Try come back from this one. My girl got a job, good salary, and I'm still a main source of income. No expiry date on a mine, a setback, man soon grip one.
She don't listen to UK rap. If it ain't Dave or Cinch, she a 6 but her friend is a 4. A freeway gonna make that 10. Are you sure you wanna make that?
Me no want be no picture on a button. Me had the goat, me no want on a mutton. Yeah, my brother in a Tariq, I'm a lawyer. Yeah, my brother in a Tariq, I'm a lawyer. If you understand up for something, you go fall for nothing. Me did feel sad yesterday. Rush and call and tell me say,
you my blood, so I'm lying like a dog. Me, I go pick up for you every time you call. Some of them just change like the season. Most of them just want me for fall. Some will stay with a rifle at all. Me no want on that picture up on the wall. You know the black them hotter than a sauna. And we lock chopsticks more than any harder. 8 times rise, 8 times fall. Carry 16 shots for my dog.
any boy violate you a war. Any boy violate you a war.
8 times rise, 8 times fall. Carry 16 shots for my dog.
Me and you are forward from far. Me and you turn in a big superstar. Come from Jamaica, the street grimy. Now for them boy, you're so bad-minded. Them will kill you for nothing at all. Chew you by the youth, them a football. What's the use? You woulda give them your heart. Them woulda cut it out of your chest, put it on the wall. Laugh when your poor mother ball.
8 times rise, 8 times fall. Carry 16 shots for my dog.
Any boy violate you a war. Any boy violate you a war.
8 times rise, 8 times fall. Carry 16 shots for my dog.
Me and you.
Heavy hype.
Yeah. They said Columbus the one found America, judging by clarity, I found Pacific. Niggas can't fuck with me, be realistic. I got the Lord on my back like a Christian. Young nigga hold out, I pray when I'm getting it. Don't go to church, but I pray every minute. All this damn water, not doing no dishes. Can't walk on water, but I know I'm gifted. I feel it more that these niggas can't kill me. Every shootout, I feel God in attendance. Bought my first chain, I spent racks on attendance. I'm about to go turn a cross to a pendant. Every little step, I know God done been with me. When she was bad, found the positive in it. Can't you forgive me, Lord, I done been seeing it. I done got folks high like Bob and Whitney. Still in the streets, I be bobbing and weaving. Looking for an ox, I won't start till it's finished. No, this not right, but I'm never who started. But I bet I be the one who gotta end it. Tell me, little, why do they want play with Kenny? But when somebody get shot, now I'm tripping. They slid on me, but these niggas be missing. It ain't my time, God made that decision. But I don't think God picking my bitches. Cause all these bitches, I been with the devil. These hoes with the devil when they in they feelings. But I keep going back, I just don't listen. Bitch pussy water, I'm tryna dive in it. She say it's pure, I'm the only one hitting it. She said that pussy, they're worth a few million. Damn, am I going to hell if I kill it? Got this little other bitch, she said that her pussy water, but she got a man.
What is going on, family? Can you guys hear me? Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys can hear me, okay? Okay. Perfect. I hope everyone's doing good. Happy Sunday, right? Sunday night. I hope everybody has had a good weekend. Hope everybody is excited for the beginning of the new trading week. Right? I know I'm excited. Definitely. If you guys were on Friday's call, right? We got some great opportunities to profit before the market obviously closed. But is there anyone in here that's still in any trades from Friday? Is anyone holding anything? Any trades in particular? Right, Nas hit our first target, that TP1 that we had. We were targeting this hourly insufficiency, right? And in terms of where we played our entry area, we were playing just the top of this 1 hour range. So we caught a quick 1 to 10, which was pretty clean. And in terms of what price is doing right now, ideally after we hit that initial take profit area, it appears as though we broke back up towards the upside in terms of the 15-minute. So in my eyes right now, what I could see potentially for Nas is either one of two things. So out of this TP area that we initially had in the hourly insufficiency, we left a little bit of an imbalance on the 15-minute. So in my eyes, we could either potentially come back down there and fill that to then continue higher, right? So it might look some kind of like this. Right, so in terms of what price could potentially look like, it could look something like that, right? What we also could potentially see happen is maybe something like this. Come up, fill the IPA in here, and then proceed to go lower. So I'm really right now just kind of gonna be playing price action to see just really what takes place and whether or not we're gonna be able to get a nice reaction out of either the top of Friday's move where we caught that entry, because Nas is very good at filling. Like, I like the way that Nas typically fills insufficiencies, kind of like gold. So that's why I personally like to trade it more than like US 30 or S&P. So in my eyes, 15-minute wise, right, we have this insufficiency here. We narrow it down now to the 5-minute, right? This is where potentially we could even get that optimal risk to reward in terms of, if you really want it to be safe, you could have a stop above the high, right? But in my eyes, we really shouldn't we shouldn't even really come back and attack that. Like, we could wick above it. So I always like to wait to see how structure closes coming back into these areas, right? Because normally we like to run at least at 100% on Nas. That's why I say it's kind of similar to gold in the aspect of it'll really do the most. Like, just when you think you have that entry, you guys will probably get hit break even, and then price will run in your direction. So in my eyes, if we get to this top area before we kind of come back down and fill this lower insufficiency, then in my eyes, we could potentially even see us continue lower. I know we have a lot of liquidity and insufficiency to fill on the downside, but realistically, just leaving that at that particular area in terms of our first target, that insufficiency, what I would look to potentially do is even maybe hedge. And you could secure partials on the shorts, let the rest ride break even, and then potentially hedge yourself into longs, right? Just based off of how we fill, because in my eyes, we could really just come back down, fill the rest of that insufficiency, because we didn't really leave a lot. But to me, I feel like this wick right here is just optimal liquidity, right? It's a point where there's going to be a lot of people that would have either bought right above, so in this area, or people that kind of bought leading into the ending of the market. And if we were to come and run this low, right, where most people's stop loss is going to be, either below here or below here. So if we wick below that, potentially even dig into this last 15-minute candle, that would be something that potentially would make sense in terms of seeing movement towards the upside. So that's Nas. I don't know how that ended up first on the screen. I thought that was gold. Gold's candles have been very, very ugly on some of the brokers, like in terms of like the gaps. Like all of the brokers right now that I have are a little bit different when it comes down to position wise. So with what we were looking at last week, even on Friday, right? Shorts was the play ideally for the gang, right? We caught this, and even some people I know caught the re-entry here. And looking at it from the perspective of like the 15-30 minute, right? We were looking at this as a break of structure, so we want to potentially see longs, right? But if you guys go back to Friday's stream and you rewatch, you could really see that there was opportunity for really both sides to be able to catch re-entries, right? And we went over just why. So in my eyes right now, what we could potentially see, this is something that I've seen happen a lot. So realistically, this broke above on the 15-minute structure, right? But 5-minute wise, we didn't break, right? But now looking at this, in my eyes, us coming back down to this 15-minute, like we could potentially buy right now. So actually, I like the longs. So 7:15 candle just open, yeah. So we could potentially buy gold, right? So you could buy by market. To me, we could really just go from here. Immediately looking at price though, there's a slight insufficiency, right? So even if you enter where price currently is right now, it's only 11 pip stop loss, okay? So it's nothing crazy. And understand this is off of a 15-minute structure, right? This is perfect too, because Sunday open, if you guys here ever hop on my Sunday calls, I always tell you Sunday is my favorite day to trade, and this is why. Because look, think about this. This is the low of the day from Friday, right? This is where bulk of the liquidity is in terms of just like stop losses, right? Because think about it. Most people bought in here, right? People didn't actually buy here, right? Most people were buying late into the structure. They're buying in here. They're buying up here, right? And then they're even buying all in here, to then what? Have right at the beginning of this week, right? Most people would have had their stop loss more than likely below this wick, right? So most SLs would have been in around that area, okay? Right? So for those of you, in terms of long, like to me, this is gonna be a nice one. You guys are probably gonna thank me on like Monday or Tuesday, right? I think really we're just gonna run all these highs. Like right now, to me, if we don't take these highs, then we probably fill the 4-hour IPA. That's right, that we didn't quite fully fill, and then we melt. But to me, at the very least, you're gonna catch, like this would be a 1 to 20. To me, at the very least, we'll be able to catch like a 1 to 13, right? But that's like, to me, I don't even think price is really gonna come back. Like look at how like we're just slowly walking. Like to me, we're just gonna fly towards the ending of this Tokyo Asian session. Then the beginning of London, we probably like punch back down. We might even fill this. This might be the re-entry that we have to wait till London for, right? And if that's the case, I like it, right? Because even in terms of 5-minute, did we just break on 5-minute? Yeah, so 5-minute just broke structure to the upside too, so that's perfect. That's what we wanted to see, right? So if you're in, lovely. If not, to me, this black box, black line, these two areas, to me, at the very least, we're gonna fill, right? And like I said, your stop loss can literally be less than 10 points, right? With it being below the low, just account for spread. So maybe 10 and change, right? If you account for that. But realistically, to me, we have to run from here. Like there shouldn't be any type of lagging. I like how we have all this liquidity. Alright. So in my eyes, a lot of people have been selling. So if we get a push to run this liquidity, it would make a lot of sense, right? Just for the sheer fact that in my eyes, there's still a lot of people that I know, like where we're trading in right now, a lot of people have been, I know, very confused because price moves very fast, but then at the same time there's there's parts where we stall out, like in here, right? We kind of get a little bit of consolidation, okay? And then even notice what we're doing again in here, it's like very, very similar to the same thing, right? So when we get these areas of consolidation, this to me reminds me exactly of a point. I'm going to show you guys literally. This reminds me exactly of something that happened, I think it was 2021. I'm going to find the exact point for you guys. But literally the same thing happened and it was news. It was like, this wasn't even news, so this is why it bothered me so much. This liquidity run, there was no USD news, so it was CAD news. So I was just like, wow. I couldn't believe, I was almost blown away that day we pushed on Friday, but it was what it was. But I'll show you guys a point in 2021. I believe it's 2021 for sure, probably around March, or it might have been actually the end of 2020. But basically, it was NFP, and we had a like it literally looked exactly like this in terms of we had a big wick to the upside that took all the highs, big wick to the downside that took everyone that bought, and it was just like one of those things where both sides got wiped. So if we're really looking at it from this perspective, family, drop in the chat which liquidity got swept more recent. The highs or the lows, if we're looking at this, right? So this big wick, this big down wick. Drop in the chat, which did we sweep most recent? The highs or the lows? Because with understanding that fundamental, you're going to understand where the money was just captured from. Once you understand where the money is captured from, right, you ideally are going to look for the flip. So if you know that the lows just got taken, we're going to look for buys. The same way that when the highs got taken, we were looking for shorts, okay? So like I said, I told you this should really just run, right? So is there anyone, drop a goldie if you guys are in gold buys. Like I said, this is still wouldn't even be a crazy stop loss if you got in from now. Like I said, it would still be like 20 pips at most, right? And to me, capturing that liquidity seems easy in my opinion, right? But at the same time, it's like trust your plan, trust your whatever you do. But 15-minute wise, 15-minute structure is bullish, right? Off of this right now, 15-minute, and my eyes is bullish. So we see that continuation, right, would be ideal. But as of right now, we're getting a nice reaction, right? And what we potentially might see, because look, listen, the 30-minute candle ends. Look at this, boom, punching, right? You guys are living, right? So the 15-minute candle is about to engulf in 4 minutes as long as it closes the way that it does, right? As long as we close how we're closing right now on the 15-minute and even 30-minute wise, what we also have to look at is, okay, yeah, the 15-minute broke to the upside, but realistically, 30-minute wise, it's kind of just, this is just consolidation. We swept the highs and the lows, but now if we look at it from potential short scenarios, we potentially just could fill this IPA and push lower. Okay, so this is why we want to see certain things happen, because if we don't engulf, for example, or if we, super suck down and we like barely engulf, right, we don't get a very bullish close, to me that those are just signs that potentially we could be reversing in those areas, because you would want to see just certain things happen in terms of candle closes, right, those consecutive candle closes. The fact that we're slowly walking our way up, but yet we're pushing our way up. Like, notice how we're wicking down. Like, this is creating healthy price action, right? Here, this is pretty healthy. Even down here, it's relatively healthy. We have smaller time frame insufficiencies. But if we drop down to the 3-minute, there really isn't too many insufficiencies, right? On the 1-minute wise, all we really have is this little area right here. Like, literally, there's no other insufficiencies besides that, and it's on the 1-minute. So realistically, that's fine. On the 15-minute, I don't even see us wicking back below here. Like, it wouldn't really make sense for us to, even though on the smaller time frame we're looking for that fill. It wouldn't make sense for us to go all the way back down there. To me, this black line entry, because now that would essentially be us filling that insufficiency that we're now creating in here in this candle, right? This is ideally what we want to see in terms of bullish close too. Like I said, we want to see this bullish strength. We don't really want to see us have like a big wick to the upside. Like, we don't want to see it close. We want to see it just continue to push up, right? Because in terms of that, like I said, we just fundamentally, we have a lot of things that are just in alignment, because overall right? From the 4-hour perspective, we're looking at just even all of this price action, right, is accumulation, right? So just us coming all the way back down, getting this jump the creek, this is really where we're going to see that, in my eyes, potential continuation to the upside. Like, this would be picture perfect. If we were to fill this, like, in terms of coming down to then continue higher, like, that's what I wanted. But who was saying this? I think it was Silva. Silva was literally saying, like, I never seen gold give so many re-entries. And it's like, that's facts. Like, gold really doesn't give this many re-entries. So it's like, this would have been perfect. And that's what it looked like it was kind of setting up to do. But gold hit us with the head bust. And right now, like I said, everybody's asleep. Nobody's trying to trade Sunday. See what I'm saying? Nobody's trying to trade Sunday. And look at this. It's just... Wowzy. Wowzy, family. Just quick, right? That's what we want to see. Slow and steady, and then boom, right towards the ending of this 30-minute. Understand, the volatility can kick in. It's cool when we see super volatile with 2 minutes left to the 30-minute close. Like, this to me is beautiful. Because in 1 minute, if the 30-minute engulfs, in my eyes, like, we should be good to at least I take profit 1, right? Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen, but in my eyes, I think to at least that, to fill this 4-hour insufficiency. So I'll kind of show you guys right now, too, what I'm talking about. So this 4-hour insufficiency right here, like I said, would be that first target. But realistically, like, next, would be about 2001. So this right here is your potential swing re-entry. Like, this to me is seasonality. Like, this really we should continue higher, right? Obviously, we could fill this, but in my eyes, right now, based off the time of the year, I don't think there's really anything that stops us from filling this IPA, right, until we get there. Like, I just couldn't really see us. Like, the only thing I can see us filling is this right here, right? But if we were to break down, to me, just off seasonality, it just wouldn't make sense if we were to break down, like, now, especially leading into June, right? It's halfway through June. Basically, June, July is where we get that reversal from whatever bearishness we get to then continue higher towards the upside. Typically, that bullishness will continue until about September, give or take. Okay? So, beautiful. Boom. Notice how this 30-minute candle opens straight down. That's exactly what we want to see. Okay? So, now, right, it's just going to be a matter of if we can potentially come back down and fill this. To me, we may not fill this until London. Right, so now this is where the waiting game comes into. So if I were you guys, I would set an alert. Right, I would mark this 15-minute area up. To me, if you wanted to maybe do the 5-minute, the 5-minute could potentially be a little bit more narrowed down. But you might, like I said, if you're playing towards the bottom, I would aim towards playing the higher insufficiencies. Because like I said, there really isn't any insufficiencies too much lower. Like, it just wouldn't even make sense for me to see it push too much lower than like here. It's like 59. So even us pushing into like 59, you could potentially get into a re-entry, or an entry if you, not a re-entry, but you could get into an entry. Or if you didn't put on your full position, you could potentially look to add on the rest of your position to just ensure that you're on the right path when it comes down to directional bias. Because the worst thing that you want to do, like I said, is sit here and miss a trade because you're just overthinking. It's like, when you overthink sometimes, like, okay, drop a 1 to try if this ever happened to you. So the entries that you lose, right, so your stop loss gets hit, right, you don't hesitate on, you just take them. But then the ones that win, or the winners that you would have had that you marked up, right, you overthink and don't take them. Like, drop a 1 if that happens to you often, because I feel like as a trader, that's something that probably discourages a lot of people from being able to confidently take their own moves. But what I was talking to, I forgot who I was talking to the other day, and I was talking about, it was one of my students, and basically I was telling them, like, yo, like, you never know which trade is going to be the winning trade, so you just got to take them all. Like, you can't expect to not take every trade and expect to win every trade that you take. It's like, typically the ones that you don't take are going to be your winners. And I don't know why that's the case, but it just typically works out that way, and it's weird, right? So that's why in reality you have to take all the trades, but you have to take all the trades that just make sense fundamentally based off of technical analysis, right? You don't just want to take trades based off of your emotions. Like even here, like remember I told you this IPA, like notice where we're reacting out of. Like this is why times like this scare me, but it's like I just like the bullishness, right, of Sunday. If this was like New York session, to me I would be sweating. I'd be like, whoa, okay, what are we gonna do? I see the fill right here. Are we gonna break down? But realistically, like I said, we'll know whether or not the continuation will be the move by the end of this hour, truthfully, because what we should see happen is, like I said, we may not even see a push deeper, too much deeper than the open of this candle, right? So we may just tap back into this 30-minute candle and go. Like there's nothing, like I said, we came back into 1959.88. We don't really actually have to push lower than that, right? So it's just really making sure we're on the right track when it comes down to fills, because I know sometimes you guys feel like you might be chasing trades, but then it's like you're not chasing a trade if you sit there and it's like you're entering like after, like everyone wants the quote unquote Instagram entry. Like all of you guys want to get that sniper entry, that bottom move, but sometimes we sit there and it's like it's okay to not have that bottom entry, but just waiting for those candle closes could be the difference between you having any drawdown versus you having a little bit of drawdown or it wicking your stop loss a bunch of times before it finally goes up. And then like once you notice those little things that you're doing in your trading, you're going to start to become more conscious to what is actually hindering your ability to profit. Because a lot of the times, like I say, it's not that you are terribly wrong on every single trade. It's just most of the time psychologically we can't manage our positions, or psychologically we just overwhelm ourselves, overtrade. It's like there's a lot of things that come with trading that a lot of people just skip over, and that's why it's important to make sure that you're just doing what, like everybody sits here and wants to backtest and do all of this stuff, but nobody really sits there and like focuses on their mindset, because people come into trading with this conception that, oh, I don't need the mindset, I don't need this shit. And believe me, I was in the same boat as you, right? But it's like looking back to it, it's like there's a reason why I couldn't consistently be a profitable trader until I picked up personal development. Like there's a reason for that. Like I didn't start making money until I started educating myself. And it's like until you guys understand that, you guys are it's just going to be very difficult for you guys to progress. Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to realize, wow, I'm sitting here and you're in the passion paradox. You're thinking that you're doing something that's beneficial, but then in reality, it's like your results are showing you just the complete opposite. And like I said, things happen sometimes that are out of your control. Like sometimes you'll get slipped, right? I know on funding challenges, a lot of the time, like people get slipped, and sometimes they lose their challenges. I know that's happened to me a bunch of times, right? So it's like there's things that'll happen that will be out of your control, but at the same time, if you can minimize the likelihood of the errors being on your side versus it being outside of your control, like you should be able to live with it if it's outside of your control. But if you have a plan and you didn't follow your plan, like you shouldn't be okay with that. Like you should really sit there and you should ask yourself, like, am I okay with just not being disciplined? And am I even more okay with knowing that I can't even trust myself to follow through with what I told myself I was going to do? Because that's really what we have to come to the conclusion of. Because like I said, certain times, certain things will happen. And it's just about how you bounce back. It's like, sometimes you have to experience things for you to learn, but sometimes we don't learn, right? Or sometimes it's like we learn, but then we have to learn even more, and then we get mad and we get frustrated because we just feel like we're stagnant. But in reality, it's just like when we try and rush the process, that's where we have to make up the time later. It's like whatever you skip now, you don't have to make that up like right now, tomorrow, next week. Like you make that up when you're like 30, 40, 50 years old and you're regretting, like, damn, like, why am I in this position right now? Like that's when you're going to regret it. That's when you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe I just let my life slip away. So this is why everybody has to just decide, do you want to be a professional trader, or do you want to treat this just like you're an amateur? You want to treat it like you're a poser? Because a lot of people right now are posers, right? They're not actually trying to trade. Like, to me, people that are posers are people that are constantly just worried about money. They're constantly worried about just flipping their account as fast as possible. The people that make the most money off of trading are the people that are not trying to make money at all. Like, it's crazy how that works. Like, I promise you, the most profitable people, like, literally could care less about what happens in the markets. And those are the people that are making the most. So, this is why we have to really ensure that when it comes down to us being on the charts, it's more than just trading, right? It's like, what are you doing outside of the charts, right? Because the technical, the fundamental analysis is like, it's cool, but it's like, if you don't know what you're doing outside of that, you're gonna be stuck, right? Because even look at this DXY. If we look at DXY right now, DXY is filling this hourly insufficiency or daily insufficiency, right? In terms of daily structure, to me, we made a new lower low. We came back, we filled this insufficiency. In my eyes, this candle probably engulfs today. And if DXY, look, I'm calling this right now. If DXY engulfs this candle today, like I said, gold is for sure going to hit our like that higher area, right, that we were looking at, right? So ideally, looking at this, right, just even looking at how DXY closed yesterday, I anticipate DXY to more than likely just, like, if we don't wick into this box, like, I expect us to close in it, right? So in my eyes, I'm looking for this to engulf. So DXY is lining up on the higher time frame. Like I said, this is not the 4 hour, this is not the 1 hour. I don't care what DXY does on the 1 hour. I'm looking at it at the daily, and I'm just waiting for the daily to just do its thing. Because even if I look at this right now, 15-minute wise, right, it looks like we're starting to get some smaller time frame distro, right? So to me, we probably sweep these highs one more time and then fall. If we don't just fall from here, like I said, just how we opened even, right? We had this hourly up candle, boom. Now it looks like we're about to engulf, right? 4 hour wise, we have this wick. Like I said, daily we felt that insufficiency. So there's a lot of things that are just in alignment with potentially seeing dollar, like I said, just at least if we don't engulf this buy candle, to me, we more than likely close below. Or we more than likely just at least wicken and fill most of it, right? Before then getting that quote unquote reversal, okay? So even with gold right now, we can see it's kind of chilling, leading into this 745 candle, close, open. So ideally, I like how we're kind of just boom, we're lagging, because to me at the beginning of the next 15-minute candle, that's when I would expect probably a push into at least like here. So like I said, we have this bottom insufficiency, which would be like the optimal best risk to reward. It would have us lit, right? But then now we have area number 2 in terms of insufficiencies, where it's like, realistically, I kind of like this second area better just because of this, right? When we look at this is that last buy candle before we actually push down, right? 3 consecutive sell candles before we then broke 5-minute structure, right? So I like this area. I like how we came back, we wicked into it. So I wouldn't even mind seeing this come back and fill and seeing that continuation, right? But like I was saying, realistically, price has been very healthy, and it looks like we really could just get price to push higher from, I don't think we'll necessarily go from here. I feel like we'll probably wick a little bit lower, but the lowest, like the place where it's like the bare minimum, like if there were to be a bare minimum, because this is what ends up happening. We always have like areas that we want, and like this is like the sweet spot, like down here, right? And then even up here would be a very decent entry too. But a lot of the times, sometimes we sit here and we get so hung up on these areas that we overlook the fact that on the higher time frame, we don't actually have to come back here. So this is a smaller time frame. We could come back and we could fill this. But realistically, we already established we don't really have to come anywhere below the top area based off of the 15 and the 30 minute. So that's why for me, you have to sit here and you have to be able to adjust and adapt to what price is giving you. It's waiting for candle closes. Like, you don't have to jump the gun and get in early. You could literally get in after every sweep down and every little push down if you just wait. But a lot of times we're just impatient, right? That's why I'm so keen on candle closes. I feel like I emphasize that and I preach that a lot. I tell you guys, look, candle closes, opens, closes, 15 minute, 30 minute, 45 minute, and then hourly, right? And I don't mean 45 minute candle, I mean like 45, like it's about to be 7:45 Eastern time in 2 minutes. So I'm talking about the 45 minute candle open past every hour. Like, those are things that my brain is just stuck to, it's just there. Like, I won't take an entry, for example, like it being 7:43, I won't take an entry right now until 7:45. And the reason for that, like, is because I know that 7:45, I might probably get a better entry than what I would have got right now, because typically at the beginning of the 15-30 minute hourly candles, if we're bullish, for example, we're probably going to see the beginning of those candles open towards the downside, right? Because what are we going to do? We're going to create those wicks, right? And it's going to be the flip if we're looking for longs, or if we're looking for shorts. So, like, drop a 888 in the chat if that's making sense, family. Right? And also, drop a like on the stream, family, if you guys are getting some value so far. I want to see everybody drop a like, right, that's on here if you guys can, right? Blow it up for me. But realistically, when we sit here and we're looking at this, like I say, it's going to be cool what happens at the 7:45 open, right? So, new 15-minute opens in 35 seconds. What I anticipate, something like this, right? Push down at least into here. I think we probably get this area, but who knows, right? Like I said, ideally, like this, just the first take profit, this bottom area, if we can fill it, would be a 1 to 70, right? Which would be pretty crazy, right? 1 to 70 out of that area, if we were to come to, it's like if we were to just even fill that and you were to have your stop below the low, 11 pips, you could have it even tighter, right? 6, right? So this candle opened towards the upside. So now we have to really sit there and be patient, because this is not what we would want to see ideally, but because it's almost the end of the hourly, like this could really, like we could see this first 3 minute engulf and then see us kind of like run. Like the last 15 minutes of the hourly, really the last 2 to 3 minutes of the hourly is probably going to be the most volatile time, just because of the simple fact that I don't know, like candles will typically just go and be correcting themselves, and whatever insufficiencies that we shouldn't really come back to the following hour, we'll probably fill those before continuing higher. Or if we're just leaving them, then that's just signs that potentially we might continue in the opposite direction, right? So one thing I'm gonna do, right, I want to keep gold here, but what I want to do, I want to look at XAU GBP. Oh, GBP came down to this 4-hour area. GBP was the reason why I like shorts too, even on gold, on like, or XAU USD. It's just because of how we filled just this insufficiency. We swept all of this liquidity, and just with the structure, gold structure wasn't as clean. But the only reason why I shorted it was because GBP had already, like, boom, like it was clear. It was more clear on GBP than it was on USD. So that's why for me, I was just playing the divergence and waiting for the position to be able to come in regards to the, oh, damn, look at this. So we literally have no wick on the 4-hour candle. Is it like this on all of them? Okay. 2 of them. So realistically, with no wick on the top side, that's lovely. Like that's actually amazing, because realistically, this right now, what we're trading through, if gold is gonna do what I think it's gonna do today, this wick should really be the lowest point that we come to, right? If it's really gonna push higher, because like I said, it's not just gonna take these little highs. Like, it's not just gonna take these little highs. Like, to me, it's gonna take all of this. Like, it'll take all of that, all of that, right? To me though, I still might short this, but that's only if we get a gnarly, crazy, quick wick fill, right? Because I seen gold do some crazy stuff like that too, right? Come all the way to the top, fill that, and then to me, I would like this entry even more down here, right, at 50. But that would be like I said, we would already be at like a 1 to 50 by that point, right, or 1 to 40, whatever case may be. So now, even with this 15-minute candle, you can see that we have this bullishness, right? We're getting this push to the upside, which is good. It's good just because of how bullish it is. It wouldn't have been good if we weren't continuing, because typically when we just start pushing up like that, like I said, you want to see the opposite happen. But now, okay, look, think about this. This is how fractal gold is, and this is what I'm saying. Like, this is how I pay my re-entries. Because look, fundamentally, I look at this, no wick. What is that? Dude, that's bad for the algorithm. What is right below that no wick candle? An insufficiency. We have an IPA, we have an imbalance. But what is this also? This is that institutional area. This is that last push up before we then drove price down, before price broke structure. So you have to understand, this was that last 5 minute, 3 minute, whatever, right, candle that allowed us to trap sellers, right, or trap early buyers. Then we get this sweep down, break of structure on the 5 minute. Like I said, everything is fine. Like, are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Like, you guys see how it literally leaves clues? Like, do you see how this having no wick is now giving us more confirmation that we're gonna come back down here? Maybe not in this hour, but at the beginning of the next hour. Like, do you guys see how that makes sense? Drop in the chat if that makes sense to you. Because I really feel like once we can start training our eyes to see the little details, right, like that, it starts to give you more confidence. I feel like the more confidence you have is really going to sit there and it's going to help you with being able to catch potential entries, right? Because it happens so frequently that we really just have to sit here and we have to just get accustomed to the fact that, okay, price more than that. Okay, so like here, look, even if we look to the left, because I know Hezzo said, boom, you're gonna backtest. You could even backtest from right here. So look, overall, we swept the high right here, right? We broke structure, we closed all the way to the downside, right? But notice, boom, no wick on the upside here, right? Where is that coincidentally lined up with, right? Our institutional area, right? Really this right here, our institutional area, that 5 minute, that big engulfing candle that captured all of that sell side liquidity, right? Before we then broke 5 minute, 15 minute to the downside, right? So we have the same type of continuation, right? This comes up, fills it, but no wick here, right? Then what happens? We come all the way back up. We take out that, correct that, come all the way up to that last 5 minute up candle before we broke structure, and then what do? Same thing. We engulf. So to me, it's like, this is why I say that there's so much targets, or so many targets to the upside, because I'm kind of looking at this from the perspective of there's a lot of wicks that need to be filled from the upside, right? So even we see this right now, 5 minute, it's a pretty bullish close. Notice how we push straight down now, boom, filling this insufficiency, this wick. So it's like, if you dig down to the smaller time frames, that's where you're gonna see these. Like the 5 minute is probably where you're gonna see it the most clear, family, if you guys want to go back test that. But realistically, all you guys really have to pay attention to, if you really want to get the best entries, family, it's playing the intraday lows and highs. To me, in the last day, we created a very, very, very large range, right? 160 pips. Okay? But within that 160 pip range, we also swept out all the sellers and all the buyers before then creating more consolidation. So literally look at this. It's like we created this area, we consolidated, right? Liquidity captured, push to the downside, liquidity captured, push back to the upside, liquidity captured. Then what do we do? Consolidate, 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 consolidate. It's like, don't get tricked into trading the consolidation when you can sit here and you can trade once or twice a week by waiting for this, or waiting for that, or waiting for the buys, because we even caught the buys, right? It's like, if you guys were in any of the group chats that I'm in, I caught out buys from here. I caught out buys and the re-entry didn't come back, right? So it's like we had the bottom before the re-entries, right? And we called out price taking the highs, right? It was like a 1 to 50 that was called on stream. You guys could go and watch. I'm pretty sure I uploaded that on my YouTube, right? So it's like, it's the little things like that where it's just being able to add up the confluence. But to me, like I said, this is a tip for you guys, okay? So if you guys are trading outside of New York session, Sunday is the only exception because of the volatility and the fact that most people psychologically are told don't trade Sundays. So you observe the masses do the opposite. I like Sundays because most people don't like Sundays, right? But that's just me. But outside of Sunday, you can use your own exception if you want. You cannot include Sunday in that. But if you are trading during Tokyo session or London session, if I were you, I would take profit 75 to 80% of my position every single time that we make a new higher high and a new lower low. Because look, if we sit here and we go back, and let's just look at the last 3 days, right? Because if we look at the last 3 days, there's really only one exception that price didn't come back, right? So it's like, boom. So let's say, for example, here, right? Tokyo and London session. If you took an entry in Tokyo to London session, what would have happened right at New York? Unless you were in longs, which it's like I called out the area for the longs too, 15-minute IPA fill. This was our TP for the sell, right? So our TP for the sell, I didn't buy it just because to me, I felt like we were going to go lower, which is like, I wouldn't have even probably took profit. Like it would have missed my take profit or would have wicked and it would have. So it's like, I'm glad I didn't buy it because I would have probably got wrecked, right? But notice how here, boom, New York session takes that high. Okay, let's go to the next day, previous day, right? Same type of thing. So market closes, get a little pop, people start to buy, right? People start to buy, people start to buy. What happens right at the beginning of market open the next day? We sweep below these lows, we capture liquidity, and then we run during the time that most people don't trade. This Wednesday going into Thursday was the only day that I've seen in probably 3 weeks where gold didn't come back and sweep the high of the day. And that was the only day that I probably took partial, so it was funny. That's why that day will be an example for me for a while. But back test, boom, day before that. If you're entering, like, really make this make sense, right? If you're entering here for shorts, take profit or take out 80% of your position once we make a new lower low or a higher high. Because if you don't, then look at what's going to happen. Boom, as soon as we made this lower low, as soon as we made that lower low, we come back up. Your entry would have got basically ran out here to then have it come back down. What do? We filled this 15-minute IPA to the upside. Then what? Captured the highs. So it's like, if you sat here and you shorted, you would have got copped on the buys. But then if you bought and you didn't take profit after we sold, you would have got hit out here after. So New York session is really the only time that I recommend for you guys to hold the positions throughout the whole day, throughout the rest of the day. Right? Or London, depending on what the previous day did, right? So let's even go the day before. It's like, if you're sitting here and you're trading Tokyo to London, you're getting hit out in New York every fucking day. Every day. Drop a 3 if that happens to you at least 3 times a week, family. Like, be honest, right? Because a lot of us don't like to take profit because we have that FOMO of, okay, I might miss out. But look at this again. If you sat here, you shorted here, right? Off of this candle, right? 5-minute, 15-minute, whatever. And you just played a new low. A new lower low. Right? We didn't quite get it. Actually, I wouldn't even play that low. really looking at it, this would have been sufficient enough to close below this low. So as soon as we close below that, notice how we get a bounce, come back down, we bounce back up again. This right here is like probably the epitome of what happened. This is the universe saying, all right, take profit. All right, no, you don't want to take profit? All right, we'll bring it back down for you one more time. All right, you don't want to take profit? Then you see this candle, you're like, oh my gosh, I should take profit. Then boom, this candle happens, this down candle, you're like, nah, I'm lit. I'm holding that shit. That shit's about to die. Then you're like, all right, I'm not even going to look at it anymore. I'm going to come back in 20 minutes and I'm going to be 1 to 10, 1 to 20. And then you come back 20 minutes later and now you're just anxious. Stop loss gets hit here. You're like, damn, I should have bought it. Then what ends up happening? You wait for price to come back into this area. Your dumb ass tries to buy it. Then what ends up happening? Boom! Cranked. Like literally, I promise you, this is rinse and repeat. Like, it happens to me all the time. Like, I'm telling you, like, it still happens to me, right? But it's just, the scale of it is just not so bad. Like, I can identify it right away. And then typically the only reason why that's happening is because I'm emotional, right? And then I have to ask myself, okay, why am I even trading if I'm emotional, right? Or sometimes, you know, stuff happens in the market where it's just like last week, if gold didn't take those lows, like, I was actually gonna like contemplate like whether or not I even wanted to like gold king anymore. Like, I was like, but then when it dropped, I'm like, okay, it was manipulation. I had to tell myself it was manipulation. I kept looking at GBP and telling myself if I was in GBP, I would have been lit. I wouldn't even be looking at it, right? So XAU USD is just definitely way more manipulated. But boom, back test. Literally, every single day besides that Wednesday that I just showed you that I said was the first day in 2 weeks has literally taken the higher the low, right? So it's like Tokyo session. You short it from here, boom, right? This is probably the only day that we don't come back and test London, but like I said, it'll be the exception of what we did in London. And this exception would have been perfect because why? We took yesterday's liquidity. So we took yesterday's low of the day. And we also took the day before that New York low. The New York low is more significant to me than Tokyo and London because why? Because in terms of volatility, the banks, right? The US banks, the banks that control most of the liquidity are not open till 10 o'clock, right? The most volatile time in the day is going to be New York session because of that time or because of that factor. So this is why, right, to me, with London session capturing the previous day lows, that's why in New York, notice how we dart straight down at the beginning of New York and then we're gone, right? So that's a prime example of just like, you could have literally just bought, like a lot of people would have sat here, they would have missed these buys, and it's like you would have been scared to buy all in here. But then it's like realistically, you could have bought anywhere in here, and it's like even if you bought anywhere in here and this came back down, you still would have been lit. Right? But it's just being able to identify structures, being able to identify how to reposition yourself in terms of the entries. So it's like, I'm giving you guys just things that I look at on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis when it comes down to entry points, right? Because it's difficult sometimes to be able to sit there and find particular positions. All right, beautiful. So look at this. Beginning of the hourly, no wick on the upside. Notice, what do we attack? What is the first thing we attack? This is crazy. Can't make this shit up. We attack the insufficient, that body candle. Look at that. Boom. If we fly out of here, I'm telling you, family. Because we built different, man. So if you missed it, oh, yeah. See? Look at that. Now you see me, now you don't. So, if you missed getting in, or you were hesitant, or you didn't get your full position in, to me, wait till it hits the box. It still never hit the box. So if you get in before the box, I know you're impatient. But if you get in as it hits the box, ooh, you're patient, right? Because boom, as soon as it hits the box, little love tap, right? Little love tap. Right? Because we just have the magical lines. And it's like, if we all put our manifestation powers together, we'll make it go even faster. I promise. At least for a little bit. Look at that. You guys must be manifesting right now. Because this shit is sucking up, right? But it's like, this is ideally what we want to see. This is a nice open because realistically, when I play hourly opens, I like to pay attention to the 3-minute candle, right? The 3-minute candle probably is at the beginning of the hourly. 3-minute wise is probably my favorite time frame, just because of the simple fact that I don't know what it is, but within the first 3 minutes, it's like if you miss it, right at like the 3rd, 4th minute, it'll bounce back, catch a re-entry. Because I don't know, the way that the 3-minute and the 5-minute candles print, sometimes the 3-minute will look so pretty, but the 5-minute you'll be like, oh my gosh. But then it's just having that higher time frame confluence and understanding what you're looking at on the higher time frames. Because if your higher time frame bias is bullish, you shouldn't really be scared when you're buying in certain areas, unless like you're over leveraging, or unless you know you're just buying in a trash area that you shouldn't be buying it, right? So to me, with this 3-minute, we see that we tap the beginning of this box. So what I would expect is probably we push down, we tap the open of it again, and if not, we probably just suck up. Like right now, on this broker on Saks, the new 3-minute candle just gapped up, and now we're engulfing. Right, so this is ideally like picture perfect, right? When it comes down to what we look for just reactions. Because if you took this, ideally, tight stop loss. You could have a 5-pip stop loss on this shit right now. That is OD. That is crazy. Your first target would be a 1 to 33 if you got in at this area. Like if we hit that first target, that's literally a 1 to 33, family. 4 pips on gold. Show me someone that could sit there and find you a 4-pip entry on a Sunday, having you more than likely gonna smack a TP before New York. Come on, family. Like, this is what I'm telling you. This is why I like when I tell you you'll never miss a trade if you're watching it. This is why I mean you'll never miss a trade if you're watching it. Because it's like we didn't just try and get in at a random point. We waited for a logical entry point based off of what our fundamental understandings are, and we positioned ourselves based off of that, right? So drop a fire emoji in the chat if this is a fire breakdown based off of our reaction. Like, look at this. This is literally exactly what we said that we needed to look for, right? Like, this is literally perfect. I'm telling you, the market sets itself up. It's all up to you if you want to learn how to read it, right? But it's just being patient. That's what I'm saying. It's all about just trusting the process and not sitting here. So, I'm telling you, family, this is something that once you guys can just build the confidence to be able to, like I said, pull the trigger in these areas consistently, that'll be the difference between your trades. Because like I said, realistically, as long as you're always taking partials and taking profits at higher highs and higher lows, like realistically, even though we're targeting that first high, there's no harm in potentially breaking even, or even securing like 25% of your position once we close above this high. Like, there's no harm in that, right? Always paying yourself. But at the same time, breaking even, I would say just break even until we take at least the liquidity. Like, I don't think there's really anything stopping us till the liquidity. But at the same time, I really, like I said, I think taking profits at higher highs and higher lows is something that's slept on, and a lot of people don't really do as much, because sometimes your targets are a little bit deeper than that. But it's just being able to just figure out consistently what works. I know when I take partials at highs and lows, I make more because I catch the same move 3 or 4 times. But instead of just going up 2%, then coming back down, only being up 0.5%, and then going back up 3% and come back down 1%, it's like, imagine capturing that 1%, that 3%, that 4% every single time, and then waiting for the re-entries every single time. It's like, you're going to have so much more confidence when it comes down to the markets, right? So that's why I say it's just crucial to be able to sit here and just make sure when it comes down to everything that Boom boom. My apologies, family. But does anybody want to look over any currencies, any pairs? Like, drop in the chat. I don't mind looking at some FRX, some indices. Nice. Looking for buys at 13320. The way I look at this right now, I'm looking at this as kind of bearish. Like, I think we're probably. Oh, okay. So okay. So we're literally doing the same thing on gold that we just did. I say you could potentially short UCAD right now. I'm not a forex man, so if you guys get clapped on UCAD, don't get mad at cash. But I don't think you could get mad at a 2-pip stop loss, right? So I would say short UCAD, right? To me, I would say first target would be at least these lows, so it'd be about a 1 to 15. Right. Take a pic of that. But realistically, because we pushed above that wick. Or we pushed above the body of that candle that had no wick, I like the idea of us potentially breaking down, especially because there's no wick on the bottom of this hourly. So this is why I even have this higher area, because to me, we could potentially push up a little bit higher. But what I want to make sure Three-minute wise looks a little ugly, but I like 15. If the 15-minute closes above this, which to me would be kind of ugly, but that would just, to me, like, we could really just see like the next following candle, so the following 15-minute candle just suck down, and that would be a lovely, like, that would be amazing. Right, so UCAD potentially, because like really I'm looking at it, like there's nothing really to me that is bullish about it. Like we just look like we're being kind of walking price down, right? So in my eyes, like even daily wise, it looks like we close right above, right above this area. So the fact that we didn't even close right below, but then we're already, in my eyes, kind of creating that wick to the upside, creating that buying pressure, right? In my eyes, it looks like we have a decent amount of liquidity to the downside, but we could see it, like I said, it could flip, right? It could continue higher, but as of right now, to me, that's what I see. At least until this candle gets fixed, right? This hourly. But to me, like I said, 3 pips stop loss. You know, call me the UCAD king if this hits TP, no kissy. But what do you guys want to look at? Nas, I feel like I went over a little bit, but I could kind of go back. So Nas, ideally for me, one or two things. Like I said, the way that we're kind of setting up right now, it appears as though we are kind of just making like liquidity. And when it comes down to just targeting lows that make sense, it's just like what we really have to do is identify overall like the direction and the strength. So to me, overall, I like buys on NAS in particular, but at the same time, the reason why we even took shorts was because hourly structure. So hourly structure, right, to me this is our relative high based off of like the top of our range, this being our low. We never broke this high, so us not breaking this high, to me, looking left to get right, what do we have? We have a bunch of liquidity here with one last insufficiency. So to me, Nas is very good at filling insufficiency. So that's why even with the shorts that we were looking at from Friday, because we caught the top right on stream, I think we had like literally a 15 pip stop loss, 15 points. It was under 20 points, which is fire for Nas, especially we were targeting like a 1 to 10, or it was less than 15, if I'm not mistaken. But just overall, this is where our second take profit was, right? Our first take profit, like I said, was this hourly insufficiency where we reversed out of. So a lot of the times, like I say, our take profits are potential areas where we could reverse out of. It's not just us looking to take profit because we want to take profit. Like, take profit in a area that fundamentally makes sense. So when it comes down to just Nas, I would say, for me personally, right, either wait for New York session to kind of get a better idea, because I think we'll probably just consolidate. Like, I wouldn't really look to take any of these positions until like New York, because typically like New York is, we're always gonna get a re-entry, like no matter really what. Like for the most part on the indices, New York Open is very nice with the indices, so I wouldn't really be too tripping until New York session. But if we kind of stay in this middle range until New York session, that would be fire, right? That would ideally be just something opportune, right? And ideal to look forward to when it comes down to just market positioning, right? And taking a look at Goldie, how do we close? So that 15-minute candle, I don't know how we really close, but 5-minute wise, we engulf. 15-minute just open. So pushing down makes sense right now. Like I said, create that wick, create that healthy price action, offer those sells, right? And then we could ideally just see that continuation. I like how we left this insufficiency down here, because to me, once we close above this on the 15-minute, then this re-entry to me would be even more solidified, because 15-minute wise now we would have that break. So it would just be kind of looking towards seeing if we even get that retracement. But overall, like I said, on the smaller time frames, and even on the 30-minute, 15-minute, we don't really have to come back. So 30-minute wise, we need to see this engulf. So in the next 12 minutes, we shouldn't really be lagging around, because like I was giving you the perspective on the other side, we have this 30-minute insufficiency here that we wicked up, right? We still haven't really broke past that insufficiency. So those are things that I look for in terms of just closes, things of that nature. UCAD, okay, S&P. S&P looking to me like NAS looks more bullish. Yeah, S&P to me looks bullish, so in my eyes, I like NAS longs a little bit more. Just looking at this, feels clean. In my eyes, I don't think there's really anything stopping us, so it's high. US 30, I guess same type of deal with US 30. So in my eyes, it really will just come down to kind of what the dollar decides to do. But overall, if we get bearish dollar, then we potentially see, like I said, the bulls on XAU USD, and then on the flip, we probably see shorts for UCAD. Did anybody short UCAD? You guys trust me enough to short UCAD just based off of what I said? Because structure was perfect. It did exactly what we said that it needed to do. It closed below. Alright, so first target for USD CAD would be about a 1 to 15. Ideally with a 2 pip stop loss, it's like break even. To me, stop loss at break even would be right as soon as we close below this. As soon as we close below this low, I would look to break even, maybe take partials. Because in my eyes, like we could potentially just fill that and then even go higher. But as of right now, it looks kind of clean, right? It looks kind of clean. 15-minute wise didn't break above. 30-minute, now we just got to pay attention to how this candle closes. We probably spike up at the beginning of the next 30 minutes. So in 11 minutes, we probably spike up right at the beginning, right? But in terms of that family, if you're in Goldie, should be up a little bit. Like I said, we're looking to really target just this liquidity, these highs. We could still come back down to those lower areas. So remember, if you didn't mark it up, right, take a look at these areas. Right on the 5-minute, because even with this area, we just barely tapped our box, right? So we tapped it. In my eyes, 100% fills. That's what we live for when it comes down to Goldie, right? So don't trip, right? Like I said, you never miss it if you're watching it. So you could have got in here, boom, you got a little bounce now, right? If it comes back in, it's not to be scared. It's just to sit there and manage price action, because regardless, you should have been risking 4 pips. Right, that's why I try and show you guys how to line up the higher time frame with the lower time frame so that you're not scared to have stop losses. Like, even if you had it at the low, most of you guys never have stop losses smaller than this. Like, being honest, if we're being honest, you guys never have a stop loss this tight on gold that is giving you room to breathe. It's not even like it's a super tight stop loss where like if we come down and we wick here, like you're gonna get hit out. Like no, like it could come down. It could breathe, and it's like you're still risking less than 20 pips, right? And we're looking to target over 100, right? Over 200. What is that? 156. So yeah, family. In terms of that, definitely just I will update based off of what happens with Goldie, UCAD. Like I said, we could potentially just push up a little bit higher for both of them, because when it comes down to dollar, when it comes down to dollar, in my eyes, I do want to see this get filled if we're going to go lower. So if we push up to fill that, gold probably fills those little bit lower areas. If not, then we just probably see dollar drop, right? If dollar goes higher, then obviously then the shorts will win in terms of gold. And I wouldn't really be looking for like buys again into like 1950. I would just be looking to kind of play any type of fills to get in on the short side. So you know, you guys have the bias, you guys have the general direction for both sides regardless of what happens, right? Like I said, price coming back down, right, could see us fill the 100% of this area. So no wick. It appears to be like a little tiny one on the upside on the 3 minute. Realistically, this whole 15-30 minute close will kind of give us the bigger picture, because the fact that we're coming back down now, this is going to validate it right away, because we're coming down to fill this. Like I said, 30-minute candle shouldn't close like this, because to me, like I said, it closing extremely bearish like that, in my eyes, we take that low easy, because like I said, we filled that insufficiency. So to me, right, the next 5-6 minutes, if we don't close bullish, in my eyes, this is going to go lower just based off the 30 minute, right? The only thing that could save us potentially is maybe the hourly candle, right, which still in my eyes we could, right? But looking at it, 2 times we tapped this last lower high, we failed to break above. So because we got that second tap, like I said, it's just, you have to be able to reprice and see what's going on with it, because you can't just sit here and be buy and not understand what could happen on the flip. But you can't psych yourself out and be scared to like re-enter if you get tapped out because your stop is too tight. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's having a neutral perspective. Like, you shouldn't have any type of opinion. You should just be like, okay, it hit my line, it came all the way to the 100% of my box, okay, I'm buying it. That should be it. You should know where your stop loss is. Like, no one should be like, yo, where's my stop loss? Your stop loss should be wherever you, boom. You want to have a 5 pip stop loss? You can have a 5 pip stop loss. You want to have a 10 pips, 13 pip to be safe? Cool. But like I said, the difference between that is just your risk reward, right? To our first target, stop below the low, 1 to 12. If you let it breathe a little bit more below even this second area, now you have about a 1 to 23, right? If you let it breathe below this third one, 1 to 17, right? 1 to 11. So you really have to ask yourself, like, how conservative are you willing to be? And just what areas fundamentally make sense for us to actually come back to, okay? Because even right now, it's not looking too pleasing, in my opinion. Yeah, this last 5 minutes. So this last 5 minutes will really give us kind of that clear picture, clear idea in my eyes whether or not we're going to break down below this low fully and get that continuation lower towards 50, or if we're just making a run for these smaller time frame insufficiencies. Because look at what we're doing now. This is why you have to just really be patient with gold, because yeah, we're coming down, but look at what we're doing. We're literally just creating targets. Like, doesn't that just look like equal highs that we're creating on a small time frame? Right? So just being able to identify those equal highs, especially with the 5 minute break, it's like, okay, that gives you a potential target. If you don't have a target and the price is just not really making sense, because like I said, we're looking at it from the 15 and from the 30 minute, it's like, now boom, this last 3 minutes, us filling all of this now, like I said, like, we should literally just flip. But on the 30 minute, it looks horrible. It looks like we're gonna just dump through the face of the earth after that fill. Okay? So this is why even now, looking at this, it's just like, okay, you have to accept the fact that price is more than likely going to continue lower, just based off of the way that this candle is closing, right? This is why a lot of the time with gold too, a lot of people sit here and it's like I would rather newer traders break even right away, because when you don't break even, it's like you could enter in a little bit late and then you get excited because price goes up, then you re-enter even higher, because I know that's what the average new person does. They get in late, then they enter in higher, and then they end up double clapping themselves instead of just having normal risk, right? So even in a scenario like this, like I said, it's like we have our areas. Now it's just a matter of, okay, what are we actually going to do, right? And higher time frame, that's always going to be your best friend. Because if a 30-minute closes below this area right here, it's like that's not ideally what you want to be entering off a buy for, right? But if you really wanted to play the low of even what we were playing off of, we could potentially just wick back into this, right? So that's one thing. You could either be playing this immediate low, or you could just be playing the structure, right? The structure of the current range. Because this is really where that break started. That last down candle, captured liquidity, push up, 15-minute broke, coming back, testing this. So this candle is really going to be that candle. But this area was just that first initial area where we got that reaction, right? So it'll be curious to see if we even have any. Okay, yeah, boom. So we came all the way down to this lower area. So this, like I said, that was your lowest risk reward. So it coming in there, boom. That's it. If it comes back lower, punches any lower than this, as soon as it attacks that, to me it's not good. And I already told you guys it doesn't even look good. But I'm just giving you guys the walkthrough of what's currently happening in terms of perspective. But that's why it's just amazing to be able to sit here. This is going to be your most efficient study. It's like real life experiences, and also just anticipating like, okay, this is an area where fundamentally it's the bottom of the current range that we've been trading out of for the most of the last 2 days, right? We just took major lows, we took major highs too, but overall, four-hour wise, right? Like I said, we want it to fill this higher IPA, but if we really just look at it from the 4 hour, like we didn't even break above this high. Okay? So that's one thing that we really have to be mindful of as well. Okay? Is that, like I said, if we break down, it's not to sit there and get discouraged and be like, oh my gosh, got clapped. It's like, okay, where now makes sense for shorts? Right? Maybe buys wasn't it. Where do shorts make sense? Right? But 1 minute closing, in my eyes, like I said, if you play this low, you're more than likely going to be safer than just playing this low. But at the same time, 30-minute, like 50 minutes is the only thing that's kind of still supporting this. And I like the 15-minute structure. That's why I'm not really, like, to me, I'm okay with taking a position here. Right? 8:30, boom, push straight down. 5-minute wise, running all the way down to this low. Beginning of that 30-minute candle, notice how we close, we open, no wick to the top, push straight down. Like I said, gold will give you multiple re-entries, so we'll see if we just fly from here. To me, this is it. If we go lower, we're gonna take this low for sure, in my eyes. And I don't think anything stops us until 1950. Right? So if we take out all this low, to me, we're more than likely going to get that continuation into 1949. Alright. The way that dollar looks, yeah, dollar would have to engulf. I don't know if I could really still see that doing it. Actually, 30-minute, yeah. Yeah, dollar looks like we're probably going to push a little bit higher. So I still don't like the wick there. So I don't know. It really just depends, right? Sunday afternoon, it's going to move a little bit slower, but it's like, as long as we don't take the low, that's how you have to just be confident. Because it's like, if we're going to take the low, this is the way I look at it. We're going to take the low now, and we're going to go down a little bit lower. Leading into London, we then reverse. Probably New York is where we then get that continuation even lower. But if we don't take this low, then in my eyes, we more than likely just accumulate, right? So pay attention to accumulation on even the smaller time frame now, right? Because to me, Sundays is either we tap and go like this, we boom, come all the way back down, tap and go, or ideally right now, this could be the start of smaller time frame accumulation, right? So that's one thing that we just have to pay attention to. But overall, 5-minute wise, like I said, we're not breaking down. So once we break down on the 15, to me, it would have to break on the 15. Like, I'm not going to sit here and let it break on the 5-minute and get, no. To me, we're wicking back down to the same area. Once it closes below this on the 15-minute, then that's invalidated, right? Obviously, if we just dump, then it's like you don't want to be holding that position. But it could potentially dump down and then suck up to then fill. But overall, like I said, it looks like shorts are going to be the meta. And looking at immediate fills, like if we just take that low and we close below, we probably just push up and just continue falling, right, for the rest of the day. So like we probably dig back into the same area as before here and dig down lower, right? So that's obviously if we get that 5-minute close. One thing that could happen too as well, which would be just typical like gold, is we run this low by about like 10-15 pips, like maybe 20 pips, and then we flip. And the reason why I say that is because this is New York session low. So to me, everybody's and their grandmother's stop loss who bought in here, their stop loss is below there. So daily lows, kind of similar to what happened literally the other day when I was showing you guys right here, right? So the initial consolidation, right? Notice how it was the same type of deal, right? We were playing off this low. Tokyo session right at London session, we sweep that low. As soon as we sweep the low, we go, right? But then notice right at the beginning of New York, whoop, come down, take that London low, dip, right? So that could potentially be what occurs and what takes place. But overall, like I said, just be mindful of the 15-minute structure, because as much as we're wicking down and doing all of this, like as long as we don't close below, like I said, it could just potentially be price doing that thing once more, right? But dollar looks like, to me, it's going to continue higher. To where I would really want to see dollar go to, I wanted to see this fill, but I don't know if this gap is on. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's there. Then we also have insufficiency here. So potentially could see that fill, then have dollar continue lower. Let's see. This move that on. No. UCAD. Right. UCAD. I like this still. So UCAD is giving us nice vibes. Cause like I said, there's still no wick on the upside or on the downside. So to me, UCAD came in. If we look left to get right too, notice how we literally tapped the open of this very last up candle. Right? So notice how, in terms of a structure aspect, we create lower low, right? This was our initial lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, right? We come back up, we tap this last up candle to then potentially lower low. So that's why I like UCAD. UCAD is definitely, in terms of like the candle structure, it looks the cleanest right now. Just because I said there's no wick on the downside. 30-minute wise, we should just engulf and go if this is going to be the case. Risk reward wise too, this was a little bit better than gold. It was about a 1 to 15. It was only like 2 pips, literally 2 pips. Stop. Right, if you accounted for your spread too. I know spread is normally pretty good. So yeah, UCAD doesn't look too bad. Goldie, like I said too, this is why I kind of like gold still too, because UCAD, the way that the candle closes don't lie, right? So gold is very manipulative, so I like that it ran the body of this. So understand, the bulk of the liquidity, most of the money that is going to be in these candles are not going to be in the wick, but they're going to be in the body. So the fact that we're pushing down below that, most people's stop losses are below the body, right? That's where bulk of the sell orders are going to be, right? When it comes down to this previous sell candle. So pay attention to the dollar. Gold, once we close below this 15 minute, it would be invalidated, right? If you guys, like, to me, I'm still riding this because it never broke below, but I personally positioned myself once we got into this bottom area, right? So I didn't actually get in before that because I'm a noob, right? I like to wait for the 100% of the box fills, but I also like being able to just walk down the algorithm and kind of break down what price should be doing, because I know that you can literally take a small dub, like you could take a small win by identifying your trade is gonna lose. Like that's how the algorithm works. Like you could identify your trade's gonna lose and close in profit just because you got in at the right area. And it's just like, we identified the area in which we could have reversed it. Like we identified it. Like I said, I just personally like the longs more because of DXY, but like I said, DXY overall, I said pay attention to the daily. I said don't pay attention to hourly because right now we can fuck around. This is not necessarily prime time either, so it's like we could still catch our move of the day during New York easily. But it's like Sunday, I'm open to trading more during Tokyo, London than other days, right? Or at least I'm willing to hold the trade on Sundays, right? Because it's just about patience. Like I said, it's not tripping about these wicks. Like, yeah, we wick down, but it's like, who gives a fuck? Like, the difference between you having the 1 to 70 and the 1 to whatever is you sitting here and catching this move here as it pushes, like, wicks all the way into that area. Like I said, the wicks, don't pay attention to the wicks. It's candle closes. We gotta pay attention to candle closes. So it's like, as long as candle closes don't close below there, it's like shit. Now we just actually ran even more liquidity. So to me, it's like we're just hitting out people that bought. We're hitting the stop losses of people that bought. We're inducing sellers into the market simultaneously. So to me, it's like boom, 50 seconds. As long as this 5-minute candle engulfs, this is what you want to see. Like look how buying pressure, kicking in. So I say just be patient and wait for these candle closes, because the new 30-minute just opened. So you can't be scared because price is going the opposite direction, right? I would be scared if this doesn't engulf. If this doesn't engulf, I would just close. You see what I'm saying? But if this engulfs, then that's our sign. Okay, we got that buying pressure, we're lit. But realistically, 3-minute just filled IPA to the downside. So if this doesn't close where it's at, close above, in my eyes, it more than likely pushes lower. Right, more than likely pushes lower because we shouldn't come back down even on the 15-minute and really play around. So that's why it's just, when you sit here and you can kind of read the algorithm a little bit better, it makes it easier. Because at the beginning of the next 15-minute candle, we'll probably push tap this candle, then go. Like I said, we created our targets too, so this is why it's like you really just have to pay attention to what it's doing, but then also just base and guide it off the higher time frames. Because like I said, it's like we could have potentially got in here, like I said, a little bit later. That's why we had the tighter stop. And it's like realistically playing this area, just having your stop, having a 10 pip stop, like literally less than a 10 pip stop. You could have had a 6 pip stop. And to me, the reason why I like to wait for price to come down is because most of you should have been able to enter in this area below this initial target that we were looking at, just based off of the 15-minute 100%. That area that we have marked up here. The 100% of the body of the candle. Right? So, that's one thing too. Like I said, this looks lovely. The smaller time frame accumulation, right? This is what you want to see. That low get taken, and as soon as the low gets taken, boom. This high should get taken now. And if we see one more sweep below this low, then to me, that's our spring. Boom. So that's potentially what we end up seeing, truthfully, right? If we don't go from here. See, literally something like this. Boom. Come up. Spring. Literally, I promise you, like, if this is gonna do, if this is the phase of accumulation that I'm anticipating, boom, this is what happens. Right, this is how we can get that continuation higher, right? We take this low, but we may not even have to take the low, just depending on how the 15 closes, because the 15, we could just start, keep running. But based off the 5-minute, I'm prepared for the potential that, okay, we could sweep below, but realistically, if we're in right here, you're lit. Like I said, that's what you want to do. You want to wait for candle closes. Like, as it's printing down, like I said, I know it gets scary. That's why I'm sitting here. I'm trying to, like, I feel like, you know, when I'm calm explaining, it's like you feel more calm too. Because if I was freaking out, like, oh my god, it's good, oh my god, it's like, no, then you guys are gonna be wilding out. But to me, it's like, this is normal. Like, I know what gold does. Gold's manipulated. That's why I'm not sitting here getting bugged out and getting discouraged if it wicks a little bit lower than the area that I anticipated. If it wicks a little bit higher, like, I'm not worried, because structure don't lie. Because look at this, right? Did anybody take UCAD? Out of curiosity? Anybody took UCAD? Right? UCAD is looking a little decent. I know you guys don't trust me with UCAD, huh? It's okay. I hope you guys trust me after today. Hey, good stuff, my boy. So, like I said, this is just a prime example of just algorithm 101. Right, Goldie, like I said, gave us like a quick little 10-15 pip bounce, little 1 to 3. That was literally a 1 to 3 off the 4-point stop that we initially had. And now, to me, this started at 1 to 70. Right, if we get that accum and push lower, like I said, we'll at least take the high and then come back down one more time and then boom, go. But in the instance that we don't, it's like I said, we probably just get that continuation. There's nothing really that we have to come back down and play off of. So for me, in my eyes, it would just be a matter now of hourly wise, this should close bullish. I'm not even gonna hold you. So if this closes and engulfs to the downside, to me, I would close with small profit. Because it's like, if you guys entered at the bottom, like, you should be in profits, even if it closes like right here. If it closes bearish on the hourly, to me, I wouldn't like it. If we close, like, even if we close where we're at right now, basically, it's engulfing technically, but it's like we'd have to close a little bit above. If we close a little bit above, okay, cool. But if we close below this candle, if we literally close below the body of this candle, then to me, I don't like it. Right, on the hourly. So we have 14 minutes to make up our mind. Like I said, it doesn't matter what happens until the 14 minutes is done, because it could take the low, take the high, and then take the low again in the next 14 minutes, right? It's just a matter of structure. So we got Goldie, like I said, UCAD, last 15-minute candle open right now, punching straight up. If you missed UCAD, your re-entry. So TP would be that low. Quick little 1 to 10. Which is pretty good, right? I feel like a 1 to 10 is not bad, right? And it could be easily obtained to me even before London session. Because to me, even if we take this low, then maybe potentially we flip to the upside, right? If we take this low before like New York session or before London session, we could see us flip to the upside once we make that new low, right? Or get some bullishness, just depending. Because if we take that low, to me there would be a lot of liquidity captured. That would be nice in terms of seeing us push higher. Goldie, how did this 15-minute candle open? Cool. So we should really just, like, we should close like up here, right? If we're gonna be good to the upside. But realistically, right now, looking at it, it's like if you got in, just be mindful. Like I said, based off of the distro, or based off of the accum, right? I would expect it to take this low one more time, right? But it's like, in case we don't, just because of the structure, I'm okay with that. Just because Sunday, like I said, we ran this being Sunday open, us running this liquidity, it's like that's okay with me, right? Because we're basically hitting out everyone that bought early Friday or bought late Friday, right at the beginning of Sunday, and then by the time New York comes again, we're gonna be, to me, above these highs, because it's like we're gonna like make it so that no one could get in, basically. Like that's what gold does. Gold will sit there and hit out everybody at the weirdest times, get people scared, so that it can just run without the majority of people in the move, right? So even with UCAD, right, coming to this area, basically tapped our line. To me, that's like on the 5 minutes sufficient enough. Like this would be a fill. This would be a good enough fill. So we don't actually have to tap the line. This is a good enough fill right here. So UCAD potential re-entries if you didn't get in. Like I said, I don't trade UCAD, but 3 pips. Can't go wrong with that, right? 1 to 10. Can't go wrong with that, right? So target lower low. But yeah, family, in terms of that, just pay attention to how the hourly candles close for both gold and UCAD. Ideally, we wouldn't want to see an engulfing candle on UCAD either. We would want to see us close either where we're at or lower, right? So for on gold, we would want to see us close where we're at or higher. So this would be a good close on gold. Like if we close right here, to me, that would be fine, right? Because when we have that engulfing candle, that's just really that sign of selling pressure. So if we engulf on the hourly, to me, we probably sweep one more time and then pop up like I was showing you. If we don't, then we might get that continuation from here. Like I said, it really just depends on what gold is doing. XAU GBP, right, same type of deal. We pushed down, we didn't quite break down below this area, but the area that I was looking at for GBP is just a little bit more significant because of the hourly and the 4-hour point of interest. It's really like a daily point of interest, but this big 4-hour candle is kind of what I'm looking at to see that reaction towards the upside for GBP. So that's why for me, I like the idea of longs to GBP. For those of you that don't understand why I look at XAU GBP to correlate with XAU USD, it's just ask yourself this question: what's stronger, the USD or GBP? And it's like, if you know the answer, you know it's GBP, right? So if the pound is stronger than the US dollar, fundamentally to me it makes more sense for XAU GBP, since GBP is stronger than USD, right? It makes more sense for GBP to give us the direction kind of similar to US 30. Like US 30 I use for the directional bias, but I don't trade US 30 as often as I trade NAS, right? And the reason why I trade NAS is because NAS is like XAU USD, US 30 is like XAU GBP. So it's like, I'll trade, like I don't trade GBP often, but I'll trade US 30 often, right? Like maybe once or twice a week I'll find an entry on 30 because it'll be clean, but it's not my primary choice. And for the most part, I preferably like to get into NAS. But that's just me, right? So even with Goldie, it's just being able to understand these little things, right? And for me, that's why it's just, the confidence comes with just being able to take these entries over the years, right? It's just, you see how you lose, and it's like, even when you lose, it's like you can position yourself fairly fast on the flip side if you can just identify it. But it's like, typically you don't want to be switching biases like that. But you just have to identify where we're at in the range. Like if we're at an area where we can go either way, like you have to identify like, okay, like if we don't buy here, then we're clearly going to sell. It's just finding a logical area to re-enter instead of just forcing entries. But realistically, like I said, if you took, and even if you got in late or you want to take in now, it's 8 pips, right? 8 pips to the first target, probably a 1 to 15, right? So no matter really if we take this low again, right, and we wick down and close below on the 5 minute, that would be cool, right? Because in my eyes, we probably then continue higher after that last push. So like I said, it's like you could have a super tight 8 pip, whatever, or you could just wait potentially to see what ends up taking place later on in the day. GBP to me looks like we're gonna go a little bit higher. Silver to me, we're divergent. So silver normally too is gonna give us like that directional bias, and silver to me barely came into this insufficiency. So I want to see silver actually fill this higher. So everything else with the metals is showing that we're gonna go higher. It's just a matter of how much lower we go first, if that makes sense. Like, it's just a matter of if we're gonna fill these lower insufficiencies before we fill these higher, or if we're gonna fill the higher ones before the lower ones. So to me, I don't really care, because we're gonna be able to catch the top and bottoms of each. It's just really sitting here and being able to identify what's currently happening, what makes the most sense. So in terms of that, family, Goldie, like I said, coming into the end of the hour, we don't want to see engulfing candle to the downside, which is what we're getting right now. So if candle closes where it's at, we'd be invalidated. You could close, right, or just wait later if you didn't get in and you're waiting right now for it to close either above or below. UCAD, same type of deal, but I like UCAD a little bit more in my eyes. Like I said, gold is just more manipulated, so to me it's like UCAD structure is clean, so that's why I like it, because the confluence with UCAD is there too, right? So the confluence with the shorts on UCAD, because think about it, we have dollar and then CAD on it, right? So we have dollar, and then on gold's perspective we have XXX or XAU, right? And then we have gold. So it's like if we have USD on the front, doesn't matter what's on the back of it. So we could have USD euro, right? USD, just literally whatever you UJ. Like, it doesn't matter what you trade, right? Typically that's going to be doing the opposite of something with USD on the back end of it. So GBP USD, right, is going to be moving the opposite of USD GBP, right? So it's just understanding that depending on what side the dollar is on is going to dictate obviously the directional bias. So it's not to get confused, right? And like, you typically wouldn't want to be buying gold and UCAD, or you wouldn't want to buy gold and UJ. Like, if UJ is shorting and you're looking at gold buys, that's like confluence that, okay, the entries make sense. But to me, like I said, this is a super clean potential 1 to 10, right? Fill wise, we might not close below the low, and if we don't, then to me we probably reverse out of here, which is still probably going to be like a 1 to 7. Yeah, 1 to 7 exactly. So that's one thing to note as well. To me, it's easy 1 to 7 on UCAD. I gave you guys the re-entry. If you're scared, I can't help you. Like I said, you can't be scared. You can't be scared to enter when it's up here, and then fucking spam the sell button when it's down here and think that that's okay. You are like you gotta be fucked. You gotta be fucked. You're trading XAUSD. If so, there is a 1 hour imbalance. I think should be filled, and liquidity sweep might turn bull. 1 hour imbalance on gold. What are you talking about down here at 1947? Because we were going over that area a little bit earlier. I don't know if you tuned into the stream late, but if you were here, if you just want to go back and rewatch like the beginning, we went over like a couple areas on gold, right? So I actually went over buy and sell scenarios on where it should fill. So if you want to take a look, you can go through there. But yeah, there definitely is insufficiencies everywhere. Okay, yeah, cool. If you're late, then just watch the beginning of the stream, because you'll definitely get the insight from the beginning, because I literally went over that to start the stream. And I think if you have the same area, like, the confluence will be there. And even if you don't, then I gave the perspective for the shorts too, so you could potentially look as well. Anytime family. So I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, I might actually just stay on until the end of the hour just so we could get that confluence. Gold looks lovely though. Like I said, waiting for these hourly close. The last 2-3 minutes is gonna be the most volatile. It's gonna be the most crucial time in terms of confirming whether. Whoa, I sound like a super confirming. Sound like ESL. You guys know ESL? Do you guys have ESL? English second language. all the kids that came from like the foreign countries that English wasn't their primary language, they used to have to be in ESL. Sounded like one of those guys. Pronunciation, like English is hard. Like English, if you guys didn't know, English is the hardest language to learn, and it's just like the most spoken language. But it's like every other language is easier. It's like the way that English is spoken. It's like the it's like the vibrations of the words literally sits there and it confuses our brain. It's like backwards. It's like it's literally like it's backwards in comparison to most languages. That's why, like, have you guys ever heard like Spanish or like French or like some like just a different language that sounds foreign and it just sounds smoother? Like, you might not understand what they're saying, but it sounds smoother. That's because it is smoother. Like, it really is. But in terms of this family, we have 3 minutes left. Like I said, I'll just rock out with you guys till the end of the hour. Do you guys have any pairs that you guys want me to look at? Now would be the time for those of you that hopped in late. I looked over, if you hopped in late to the stream, I looked at UCAD, I looked at NAS, I looked at S&P, we looked at US 30, and we looked at gold. We also looked at a bit at silver, a bit at XAU GBP. But is there any last things that you guys want me to look at? Whether that be crypto, whether that be Forex, whether that be another commodity, maybe you guys trade oil, platinum, whatever you guys trade. If not, right, if you guys don't have anything that you guys want me to look over, see, Chef JPY has a 1 hour IP, but the candle doesn't have a wick down. Damn, he's trading Chef JPY. That is crazy. That has to be like the slowest moving. Chef is the slowest, and then JPY is like second slowest. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. This look 10 pips. Oh my gosh. On like gold, on the 15 minute, this would be like a 20 pip, 30 pip, 40 pip. That's why I love these. I love these pairs for like the average person, like the newer trader. Okay, boom. Instantly, I'm looking at this institutional area. Bomb. So a lot of you guys would look at this as the institutional area, these last down candles. But you really have to look at where the last push down started. Where did it start? The start of the last drive down before we broke structure to the upside and engulfed. It wasn't in here. It was here. This is where we started to sell off. This is literally where shorts began before we pushed higher. So our institutional area is not just one candle. It will become this whole area. And where a lot of people would kind of sit there and get a little bit intimidated is okay. Like, to me, I like the idea of buys off of this just because we're coming into this institutional area. There was no wick on the bottom of this buy candle, right? To me, this is a New York session low. So liquidity was taken by us coming down in there. Then if we were to go to the 4 hour, right, and we were to even look at where the actual last drive started, right, it wouldn't even be here. This would be the last consecutive 3 candles before we push up. But if we go to the 4 hour, the start of the last drive down was actually in here. So if we notice, it's right here, this candle, this red candle. So if we sit here and we even look at where we're topping off of, like, there's a reason why we're getting a reaction out of this area. Like, notice how we wicked into this. As soon as we close above, we wick here. This is mitigation. Wicking here, mitigation. Wicking here, mitigation. Wicking here, mitigation. So us coming back into here, like I said, we don't just come back and we tap these areas one time. We might tap it 10 times, right? It's just being able to identify what's going on. So if you're looking for shorts, 4 hour wise, it looks good. I would just wait for it to kind of push back into here, because it looks like we broke 4 hour structure to the downside. Narrowing down that 4 hour candle, we have 1 hour insufficiency in here. So maybe targeting this 1 hour insufficiency, right, for then shorts could be the meta. But if we really just get a reaction out of here, we could potentially even go for buys from here. So shorts I would look for in here for sure, right? Potentially we even push a little bit lower, let's say, right, a little bit deeper, maybe even top here. 2. To me, I like this just because there's insufficiency that's lined up with this lower candle. So that's why I was even looking at this initially, is just because insufficiency there. So everything is just lined up. We have institutional area, we have insufficiency. We also have liquidity that was just captured from, obviously, yesterday. Let's look at gold. Okay, so gold engulfed to the downside, it looked like. So that's exactly what we said would have invalidated this. So notice how we closed to the downside on the hourly, right? Hourly opens, pushes straight down. We close below this. Okay, so truthfully, remember I told you last push down? This is that. So we push down. Shouldn't this is the end all be all for bias, right? In terms of even a Q on the 5 minute, this should be our spring on the 5 minute. So if this is our spring on the 5 minute, it's like boom. Like we could potentially get a 5 minute close below here, but because we ran this, it's like if you really wanted to be safe, you could wait for this 5 minute candle to close. We should close bullish, right? So this candle should close. It should basically engulf this previous sell candle, and if it doesn't, it should close bullish. And realistically, what you should look for is just that first real bullish. Like you're gonna see it. Like you're gonna see it's gonna engulf. It's gonna be like how we had these sell candles, and we have this engulfing candle, sell candle, then boom, we have this engulfing candle to the upside. It'll do the same thing. So if we do close below, it'll then engulf back to the upside, right? If it's gonna be valid, and once it engulfs on that upside candle, that is when boom, you take that re-entry. So it's like you don't even necessarily have to take it right now. You could wait for it to actually close below here. But it's like because we push down, right? In my eyes, it's like that's exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for that last sweep down, then whoop. So we'll see. Like I said, this is the lowest area though. It shouldn't. If it comes back down, then it's dropping, right? So to me, this is in terms of our accumulation, 5 minute, 3 minute, 1 minute. It's what you want to see. Now it should go. So this is exactly perfect. I personally got tapped on my last entry. I entered right at the end of the hour. I had a tight stop. I entered in here. I had my stop right below the low, 6 points. So I got back in. So I took a 6 pip loss. Right. I think I entered at 58. So took a 6 pip loss. Up 8 pips. It's a power risk reward. It didn't even go anywhere. Like, you see what I'm saying? It didn't even take any of the highs that we're looking for yet. So it's just like, this is why I wanted to wait till the hourly candle, because I know a lot of you guys would have, if you didn't have me sitting here looking at it, you would be scared to re-enter this right now. But it's like, because you have me here, I hope you guys are confident enough to sit here and, you know, just take what I told you with the candle closes and what was taking place, right? And just see what occurs. Because like I said, overall, it looks good. Shit, I like the way that boom, even this push straight up into this. Like this is so clean, family, so clean. So realistically, UCAD came back up to, gave a re-entry. So I like UCAD shorts, Goldie longs. If we're wrong, you're literally gonna lose 10 pips, right? Put together on both, 15 pips at most. So can you live with 15 pips to risk or to make 30 on this and 170 on the flip? So 200 pips. Are you guys okay with risking 15 for 200? Drop a yes or yes in the chat if you guys are okay with risking 15 for 200. Because that's what we're risking right now. Like I said, TP1 is a 1 to 17. But remember, family, we're really targeting the highs. This is really where we want to see. So we're looking at literally the potential of 1 to 45. Even higher. 1 to 70 is the best R&R that we saw, right? So in terms of that, family, you know, I appreciate you guys for sticking through. Right, I hope you guys got some confidence in terms of just seeing price print out what we were looking for, as well as just giving you guys a perspective on both sides, right? Like, I'm not emotionally attached to buys or sells. I'm literally giving you the flip on both, but I'm not invalidating trades just because price kind of sticks around, right? About that, yeah, the lows, trust me. So in terms of that, family, I love and appreciate you guys. If you guys got any type of value at all, make sure that you guys tune in Tuesday. Like I said, UCAD should be in a little bit of profit right now. A little half point, right? Goldie should go. We shouldn't even come back. The lowest point we should come back to, like I said, literally off the diagram, we're going to come back. We're going to tap. We'll probably tap this. We might tap this. Quick. It's going to be a quick wick. It's just going to be a quick wick. Boom. Tap that. Go. We don't have to, though. So mind you, this is good. This is what we want to see. Consecutive bullish candles printing, right, towards the upside. The beginning of that candle, like I said, we created that little wick. We yoinked, potential sellers in this insufficiency, to me, as long as we close above this insufficiency, we close above this structure on the 50 and 30 minute, to me, we're good. So the next thing that would really confirm us being able to hold this is us closing above here. If we could really fail to push above here, remember this is insufficiency on the 30 minute that we're filling, we probably melt. So this is why, like I said, there's no coming back and testing it again besides us tapping this. We shouldn't take this low again and then go higher unless we're gonna go lower for real. So in my eyes, that's one thing to just pay attention to, this IPA, right? Because like I said, you could potentially close with a small dub, right? Like based off of how we react out of there. UCAD though, like I said, I like how there's no wick on the bottom. I think UCAD is probably more than likely gonna hit at least this insufficiency, that 1 to 7. So in terms of that, family, I love and appreciate you guys. I'm gonna catch you guys on the flip. Whatever group chats you guys are in, I'm gonna update the chats with the trades, and we'll go ahead and go from there, family. But I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna catch you guys on the flip. Peace.